The crypto market is waking up in a big way, and things are now starting to heat up around altcoins, which is very good to see because that will lead us into, of course, alt season, which a lot of people think is just simply not going to happen. But we already know on this channel that it will. We are now at 39 out of 100 for altcoin season, and the fear and greed sitting at about 71, and Bitcoin is nearing $105,000. Now we are still focused on stocks because, tomorrow is the market open. Things could change a little bit, which could definitely ruin the party. But for the most part, I still think that crypto continues to heat up, and I think that we are going to have a very big summer for crypto. I've been very adamant about this. But again, the focus here is on Ethereum, because I still think that Ethereum is now starting to steal the spotlight, and I do think that Ethereum is leading us into phase 2 of alt season. Now, if we actually look at the top 24-hour gainers, we could see some nice gains across the board. Some, like outliers like Pi, for an example, are up 63%, which is insane. But if we actually go to the gainers and losers and we go to the last 7 days in terms of the top 500, we are now seeing 100% plus gains quite a bit now across the board, which we love to see. But it's been a very incredible last week around this market. Things will definitely cool off a little bit as we start to really kind of move to the upside, but I do think that we are about to see alt season wake up in a big way and become a realistic thing that a lot of people thought was just not going to happen this time around, and that, this cycle is so different, and, we can't keep comparing it to the previous cycles. Until we actually have regulations, we can continue to actually compare it to previous cycles, in my opinion. Now, when it comes to XRP currently sitting at about $2.37, did hit close to $2.50. A lot of people are saying now that we're going to continue to sell off. Again, when it comes to these altcoins, when they start to have this nice move to the upside, we hit a resistance level. All right, and XRP definitely hit resistance, and now we're kind of selling off and we're consolidating a little bit before we actually officially break over that resistance zone. You can actually see it even just on CoinMarketCap. I don't even need to open TradingView, but I do have the chart open, which I will outline here in a moment. But for the most part, things are still looking pretty good around XRP. When it comes to the market, though, why do I think that we are about to witness a historical alt season and bull run in front of us? Well, let's go over here to this post from Watcher Guru, which is US and China to resume tariff negotiations today on Sunday. Okay. Now, on top of that, we got President Trump says the US had a very good meeting with China today. Again, this was yesterday. And then here we have the update from Yahoo News, which is Trump claims a total reset has been reached with China during high stakes trade talks. Now, again, this is from Saturday, not even Sunday. But here we have President Donald Trump claims that there has been a total reset with China after his aggressive tariffs fueled a trade war with the world's second biggest economy. The two countries are holding high stakes talks this weekend after being at loggerheads for weeks over the tariffs. A very good meeting today with China in Switzerland. Many things discussed, much agreed to. A total reset negotiated in a friendly but constructive manner. Trump posted on Truth's social Saturday evening. We want to see, for a good of both China and the US, an opening of China to American business. Great progress made. So this is great to see. I personally believe that we are going to see a deal made with China very soon, which is why I did make this post in regards to the original update from Watcher Guru, which was the fact that they're going to resume tariff negotiations today on Sunday. And I said that as we inch closer and closer to a trade deal with China, the more we run out of time to position ourselves properly. I think this is the largest catalyst we have in front of us, and it will explode the price of not just Bitcoin, XRP, and the entire crypto space, but stocks too, which is exactly why, like I said, I have been focused on what's been going on between the US and China, because if we do get a deal made very soon, yeah, everything's going to balloon in a huge way, which is also why I do think that Trump did say recently that, stocks are going to explode as well and rally. because he also understands how crucial this this overall deal will be. And the second that the announcements hit, guess what? The markets are going to be exploding already. So many retail investors are missing the big picture still, even though Bitcoin has already created a higher high and is now in bullish structure. We have in June the Fed rate cut decision. I think we see rate cuts start in June. This will be a big catalyst. However, the Fed rate cut combined with a China trade deal would be a monster catalyst like no other and will cause stocks to surge in a historical way. If we don't see a deal made tomorrow, I suspect we will see one announced in June. I hope you have all listened and used this time wisely to accumulate altcoins on the low while things were dropping or just trading sideways. And yes, this is something that I have outlined many times, even when it comes to XRP. This is the last, month leading up to this nice breakout. If we go back to the year chart, let's actually just look at this real quick. Let's go off of the point in which we started to kind of sell off, right? So this is when we started to hit lows back in February. This is when we hit like $2.15, $2.20. Then we hit $2 and then we lost $2. Okay. We had about 3 months of really boring downward price action to accumulate just XRP. The other altcoins in this space, I have watched other altcoins take a massive beating. Even HBAR, for an example, right? HBAR over the last roughly, month or so hit about 14 cents. We're now back to 20 plus cents. We were given an opportunity to accumulate a lot of these projects that everyone, even back here when HBAR was trading at almost 40 cents, everyone was saying, I should have bought more. Why didn't I buy more? And now today, guess what? We know that whales have been accumulating XRP. They accumulated over 880 million XRP in the past month. And then Bitcoin as well also got a lot of accumulation tied to it. But if we actually look here as well, we have breaking. A crypto whale just scooped up 11 million XRP from Korean giant Upbit. Is something big coming? A lot of these whales are actually preparing for this China announcement of us actually creating a deal with them. But also even Bitcoin, over 20,000 Bitcoin was accumulated in just the last 2 days. The amount of Bitcoin on exchanges is at nearly all-time lows. Again, when we're thinking about what's happening here, the environment around crypto is so extremely bullish. I just don't understand why people are missing the big target here, which is the fact that yes, a trade war will happen. Even during the tariff discussions that started back in January when the trade war officially got announced, I said that all of this is noise. All we have to do is weather the storm. Once we get past this storm, what awaits us on the other side will be very, very exciting. It's going to be sunshine, clear blue skies, and right now, we're in it. If we look at XRP real quick, this is what the XRP chart looks like. Again, we already have a nice trend forming here. We're in a nice uptrend. The first key level here is like about $2.55 that I want to see us break over. Until then, we're probably just going to chop a little bit here. Now, in terms of the actual price action that we did hit recently in the resistance zone, that resistance was right around $2.47.5. You could see that resistance working even back here in the end of March. You could also see it working back in the middle of March, and you could even see it prior as well, going all the way back to even January of this year as well. So this is a major, resistance zone on the daily. I'm more so focused on the 3-day because we are so very bullish on the 3-day. It just takes a little bit of time to get over these resistance, spots. But once we get over these resistance zones, typically what happens is a much larger impulsive move. Like for an example, from here, the next key level of interest, in my opinion, is like right around $2.73. And then after that, well, we just target the highs going back to January, which is like $3.40 plus cents. So we have a lot of great overall moves to really kind of watch for going forward on XRP. And I do believe that we will break over $3.40 yet again. We just gotta, wait it out a little bit here while we wait for the XRP Bitcoin pair, for example, to start to break out, which I'm actually watching for these lows to hold here because we are starting to kind of chop to the downside while Ethereum starts to kind of take over here. I would like us to kind of just range in here and then get that big break back to the upside, break over these highs that we recently just hit back in the end of February as well. After that, we really kind of just look for the $3.40 level on the USD chart to really kind of be broken, because from this level, we probably just target the highs going all the way back to like 2020. This is like the November 2020 highs. And prior to that, we really kind of just look at like the December 2018 highs. So, XRP still looking pretty good on the Bitcoin pair. I would like to watch for these lows to hold though, because it's very crucial for these lows to hold. We might get a wick below it or so, but for the most part, I'm just watching this today because we do have the weekly candle close coming in today. But outside of that, the reason why the XRP Bitcoin pair has been selling off like this is because of Ethereum, which we'll get to here in a second. This is what the Bitcoin dominance chart looks like as well. A lot of people suspecting that this has topped out. On the 3-day, it definitely does look a little topped here, especially if we're going off of the macro trend going all the way back to September of 2019. We did hit those levels, and all of a sudden, boom, we get a big impulsive move to the downside. If we look at the lower time frame structure, like on the daily, or even on like the 12-hour, you could see how rough this sell-off actually was. This was the biggest sell-off on Bitcoin dominance in a very long time, since going all the way back here to November of just 2024, so last year. So very good overall reaction on Bitcoin dominance. I have been focused on the 3-week as well. I've been really kind of looking at this. Now on the 3-week, a little bit of a different story, but for the most part, the structure is still there in terms of us looking like we completely topped out. This definitely could be, the start of alt season, or it could just be in June. We take it one day at a time. We might chop a little bit more before we start to sell off. I want to see this, sell off slowly, but then all at once. Very similar back here in like 2021, for an example. So we're definitely watching this a little bit. We might get a nice, we might get one more reaction on this chart. Okay. Very similar to, this price action back here as well, from like August 2020 into like the fall time frame of like, 2020. We might get that, or we might just be fully topped out here, because, Bitcoin dominance itself, since the lows on this chart to where we are at right now, this thing has been running for over 973 days. Just for reference, back here, this was about 1,092 days. And this is on the 3-week. So we could be at the point where we topped, or we might just push it back out to that 1,092 day structure almost, which would take us to about roughly August or so. I don't suspect that it's going to take us that long. I'm actually thinking that we top earlier than this 1,092 day structure, simply because of how many altcoins that we do have in this market. But on top of that, the focus right now on Ethereum is starting to grow significantly at a time where, Bitcoin is starting to break out, which could really move altcoins in a big way. We're now at that resistance zone on the weekly. If we do get a weekly break and a close over 106.5K, we could have a higher high structure form on the weekly, which would be extremely bullish, which would cause a surge above the all-time highs on Bitcoin above 110K. That could happen in the next 24 hours. But on top of that, right, if we are looking at Bitcoin dominance during this time continuing to sell off, this will cause not just Ethereum to surge, but XRP and the entire altcoin market. At a time where Ethereum dominance looks completely bottomed out, Ethereum dominance is starting to gain traction in a big way, which is why it's starting to take a little bit of a focus from XRP, which is totally fine, because again, Ethereum is phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4 is altcoins. But looking at the Ethereum USD chart, guys, we just had a 48% move on Ethereum. Why is this significant? Well, because I said over here that we just witnessed Ethereum surge over 48% in one weekly candle. The last time we had a move this big in a single weekly candle was December of 2020. The altcoin market is about to wake up in a very big way. We have been hearing about alt season for a while. Now you are about to watch it happen. And yes, when we think about this chart on the weekly, the last time that we saw something like this, and I went through all of these candles on the weekly to see if any of these candles did align with a 48% move, they have not. Even back in November, this weekly candle, even though it was very bullish, was about 36.42%. The last time that we had a 40+% move was back here in the month of December. Okay. Now, the next week after that, we continued to push higher, which we definitely could from here, which I would not be surprised if we did. But this aligns with alt season really heating up in next month because, again, December of 2020, January was the start of the biggest alt season of, history for crypto. And that lasted about 3 to 6 months. The same goes here, right? I do think that alt season is starting to show. I think that we officially start to heat up next month. And I think that we top somewhere around like the fall timeframe into like the beginning of 2026. So right now, things are looking very good. I think that this is a monster catalyst to watch for the China deal. But on top of that, I do think that this entire space is about to explode in a massive way. So you want to pay attention to what's happening here. You want to pay attention to Bitcoin dominance 100%. And if you guys do want to get live updates, definitely join the free Discord. You guys won't regret that. The premium side is completely valuable for anyone that joins it. The investment into that private side, I'm telling you guys, will pay off. So if you guys do want to go and sign up for the premium side, you guys are more than welcome to as well. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. This has been Nick. If you guys did enjoy this video, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, this has been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.